For those who are just now joining us, news has now broken that Kevin Durant has officially been traded to the Houston Rockets. The Houston Rockets were one of the very few teams that we have been talking about for quite some time now, about where KD was going to get traded to. We didn't necessarily know what exactly was going to occur, but it is now made official. KD is being traded to the Houston Rockets. The trade in totality is Jaylen Green, Dillon Brooks, the number 10 overall pick, and 5 second rounders. This right here is part of the video that I made last time. A lot of people got upset at me for the video that I made. When people sat there and said, oh, Lo, you just hate KD. KD should demand a hefty penny if you really want KD. I tried to explain to you all plenty times over and over and over again, when it comes to trading Kevin Durant, or really anyone in the NBA moving forward, the thing that you do not want to do is over leverage yourself. Give up way too much in the process to go get someone like Kevin Durant just so you can say that he's on your roster. That's something that you do not want to do, because if you end up doing that, then it defeats the whole purpose of getting Kevin Durant in the first place. It defeats everything. And KD of all people should know that, because it's now happened in not one, but in 2 situations that he has been in. So there's no need to damage what you are about to do and position yourself for someone who is older, on the last year of his contract, and respects to KD, but does not have the same level of impact that he did prior to where we're at right now. He just doesn't. KD's not at a point in his career where he can go out there and leverage himself in a situation to where he's going to optimize what he looks like in any situation like he did back in the day. He's not the same athlete. He doesn't share the defense the same. He doesn't attack the basket the same. These are all things in which we've talked about. So apparently news also broke about the Heat. When they were trying to trade for KD, they were unwilling to move Jaime Jaquez, Nikola Jovic, Hayward Highsmith, the number 20 pick, or any other draft assets in a deal for Kevin Durant. That's why Jimmy left. Okay? Hey, that right there is why Jimmy Butler left. That's why. That right there is why. Hayward Highsmith is another. I actually thought they were going to say Khalil Ware. I thought Khalil Ware was going to be a part of that process. I guess not. In a 20 overall pick. Holy fuck. Jesus Christ. If you are the Houston Rockets, I agree with what they did. You don't want to give up too much to put yourself in that position. And I think they actually did an excellent job by not doing so. They didn't compromise way too much. In this upcoming season, it looks like the starting lineup is going to be somewhat of a Fred VanVleet, Amen Thompson, Kevin Durant, Tari Eason, and Alfred Sengun. I think that is a more than adequate starting lineup. Regardless, though, the fact that they were able to keep both Tari and Jabari, the fact that they obviously were not going to move off of men, but I think the biggest thing is that they were willing to keep, or able to keep, Fred VanVleet, because they're going to need someone who is a passer, a playmaker, a ball handler, someone who is able to pass, situate the offense, organize it, and kind of get things going. So yes, I do enjoy what Houston got in return and what they are willing to give up. We all knew that, Dillon Brooks was not a part of their plans long term, and looking back at it, was something that I was incorrect about, but their ability to sign Dillon Brooks on such a hefty contract originally was viewed as a negative, but here we are now, and it's a massive positive because they were able to leverage the amount of money that they signed for Dillon Brooks to go get someone like Kevin Durant. The number 10 overall pick to the Houston Rockets don't really mean much. This is a team that's trying to compete now. So give it to somebody who deems it a bit more valuable, and that's certainly going to be the Phoenix Suns, as they are in a situation to where they are supposed to have a lottery pick, but they don't have it. 5 second-round picks. Who cares if you're the Houston Rockets? But the 2 biggest things that they gain in this situation are, I guess, the 2 biggest talking points if you're the Rockets, outside of receiving KD and all the things that means for them. Jaylen Green being gone, and also the Rockets keeping all of that Phoenix Suns draft capital that they received in last year's offseason. That, to me, is the 2 biggest takeaways. Jaylen Green is a player that I think we all knew was going to be on the chopping block. Jaylen Green is a player that we all know they gave him more than enough time to get in the situation that he needed to get to. And all they were asking out of Jaylen Green in these playoffs was to just be a volume scorer. not efficient, not a playmaker, passer, not even really much of a defender. We just need you to find a way to gain the separation to put the points up. That's all we're looking for you, Jaylen Green. And as we may need to remind a couple of people, in this first round matchup against the Golden State Warriors, Jaylen Green averaged a whopping 13 points. Obviously did so inefficiently, but a whopping 13 points. And even that stat line or that scoring production is a bit skewed because of his game 2 output. Because in game 1, Jaylen Green gave you 7 points. Game 3, he gave you 9 points. Game 4, he gave you 8 points. In a closeout game, he gave you 8 points again. In 4 of the 7 games, Jaylen Green was held under 10 points. In 6 of the 7 games, Jaylen Green was held under 15 points. Unacceptable. And all understandable for people out there who want to sit here and say that, hey, he needed more time. He's young. First playoff round, first playoff series. That's all understandable as well. And you give him all the time in the world. He's only 23, 22, however old. That's all fine. The Houston Rockets are not in a situation to where they can piss away an opportunity or two because somebody else isn't where everybody else is at. It's a group project. Everybody else is progressing faster than this person is. We have to move on. That's not to say that Jaylen Green's career is done for. It's not to say that I'm sitting here calling Jaylen Green a bust. What I am saying is, though, Jaylen Green needs to find himself in a situation that has the patience for him. That's not Houston. To further this point, one aspect that people need to acknowledge in this new NBA is to capitalize on players who are not making that much money. That's what we're seeing out there with the Indiana Pacers. That's what we're seeing also with the Oklahoma City Thunder. How much can you squeeze out of players who are not making that much money? How much production can you get? And when we look at the Houston Rockets, what was so special about this season for them is that they were able to get all defensive league production out of Amen Thompson, who's 22, making $9 million with a lot of upside. They were able to get production out of Jabari Smith, who was still on his rookie contract as well, at $9.7 million. They were able to get a lot of production out of Alfred Şengün last year of his contract as well at $5.4. Tari Eason only making $3.6. Next year, $5.6. They know that these 4 players have been giving them a lot of production on their rookie deals, and they've been able to maximize that. They know next year, both Şengün and Jaylen Green are going to be making $30+ million, which then ups it to $190. So if we're now going to start paying $190 million, it needs to count. If we're now going to put ourselves where we're bumping up near the second tax apron, if not over it, we need to make sure that it counts. It cannot count if Jaylen Green is on the team. So that right there is all why Jaylen Green had to go and why it made sense. Because if you're Houston, if anything, you're not done yet. Reed Sheppard still on the team. You still have all this draft capital. And push come to shove, if you need another star out there, I mean, hell, Fred VanVleet making $44.8 million next year. You don't think this upcoming summer they could also probably package Fred VanVleet with Reed Sheppard and some of those Suns draft picks to go out there and get a guard that they need to? So what I would say is the job isn't finished yet for Houston. I wouldn't be surprised if they go after someone else, but even if they don't, keeping as much flexibility as possible for what this team can look like moving forward was also very important. They did so by not only keeping a lot of the pieces that they had on their roster, but also keeping a lot of draft capital as well. All of those things are very, very important. KD, I will admit, there's a lot of pressure on your shoulder, brother. A team that just made it to the second seed, pushed first round to 7 games without really a half-court creator. And I think it's unfortunate that there's going to be this much pressure being put on Kevin Durant, because the truth of the matter is I don't believe that this roster is still complete. I still think they need a better point guard than Fred VanVleet. Again, they can go out there and get him, but they need a better point guard than Fred VanVleet. I think that they still need a little bit more depth in their front court in terms of size. They did bring back Steven Adams, so that's going to be really, really key. But Şengün starting 5, he showed a lot of promise. Who knows if that's real or not? But the three-point shooting is also going to be concerning. I think that's something that you can only cross your fingers and hope to develop. But I think that this team, though they needed half-court scoring, they also needed half-court passing and playmaking. And I don't necessarily know let me say this. I know adding KD isn't going to be enough. They're still going to need a lot more development from some of the younger players or some more moves that need to be made. So it's going to be a lot of pressure on KD because the expectations clearly have been set. This team clearly is looking to move off of who they deem to be somewhat of a franchise player and willing to go into a different direction. And so I definitely believe if you are Houston, I say don't be content with the roster. Please go after someone else. But also if you are Kevin Durant, there's going to be expectations on you. I think that it's going to be an interesting team. I still think that they're missing at least one more piece. So that is everything that pertains to the Houston Rockets side of things. Kevin Durant, the rest of the roster. Let's now go to Phoenix. I know who they're not keeping. Devin Booker. That's who I know they're not keeping. Devin Booker. When they drafted you, right after, with the draft picks that they had, it was Dragon Bender, George Papagiannis, who they didn't trade it to Sacramento with Scala Biciere, for nothing. They had 3 first-round picks. 3 in 2016. I ain't never in my life seen a team with 3 first-round picks in a draft class and did nothing with it. Nothing. And in this draft class, they could have got you Buddy Hield. They could have got you Jamal Murray. They could have got you DeMontis Sabonis, Taurean Prince. After Papagiannis, they could have got you Malik Beasley. Right before Scal, they could have got you Pascal Siakam. They could have got you DeJounte Murray. They could have got you Zubac. They could have got you anybody. They swung and missed so many times, it was ridiculous. They swung and missed so many times, you thought it was a blind man coming up to bat. They drafted a player with the 4th overall pick that only played 4 years in the NBA. The only player in the first round who played less was the other nigga that they drafted in Papagiannis. 2. That's who they got you. And then after they traded those 2, they actually almost got off on another dumb organization with the Sacramento Kings and got you Marquise Chris. Then after that, the next year, they drafted 4th overall again, Josh Jackson. Y'all remember him? Only 5 years in the NBA. You needed a point guard. De'Aaron Fox was there. They didn't draft him. Lauri Markkanen was right there. They didn't draft him. Malik Monk, Donovan Mitchell, Bam Adebayo, all there. They didn't draft him. They didn't draft none of those players for you. They got you Josh Jackson. But then in 2018, they draft DeAndre Ayton over Luka, Triple J, and Trae Young. I don't think I need to go any further. Also, Shea was available as well. You did one good thing, traded Zaire Smith for Mikal Bridges. Next year, you drafted Jarrett Culver, but you traded him for Cam Johnson. The irony of it all is that this team, in all honesty, could have had a roster of Luka Doncic at the 1, Devin Booker at the 2, Mikal Bridges at the 3, and Cam Johnson at the 4. At that point, nigga, you could have got any center in the world and just put him at the 5 and just had a lob threat with a bunch of shooters surrounding Luka. That would have been easy. I know everybody wants to be Jordan, wants to be Kobe, wants to be Curry and Duncan and stay on the roster. I know that. I know they do. I know they do. But this isn't the Lakers. This is not San Antonio. This is not Golden State. This is an organization that has had a history of failing their players, their stars. They've had it for years. You need to leave. If the only thing they got for you after trading KD is another guard, and not even a point, a 2. They got you another 2 guard and a 10th overall pick with Dillon Brooks. It's time to go. Y'all are saying 3 shooting guards. Oh, chat, do they not know what the roster looks like? It's really 4. Yeah, it's 4. Next year, you got Bradley Beal, Devin Booker, Grayson Allen, Royce O'Neal, another brother that's like 6'5", 6'4". Cody Martin. Oh, man, another brother that's like 6'5". Ryan Dunn. And that's it. That's it. All these other players are off the books. Nick Richards. All right. 6 of the 7 players on their roster are basically the size of guards. That's this team. Devin Booker, I'm giving you 24 hours before I do it for you. make the call, demand the trade. What's the point? There is none. I'm giving you 24 before I do it for you. There's no out of this, because there's somebody on the team making $53 million that they can't even move if they wanted to. This is not the organization for you. There are several teams in the NBA that would love to have Devin Booker on their roster. Again, 29 years old, already in the contract for the next 3 years. Would also bring a lot of really great return if you're Phoenix, if you're looking for draft capital. A lot of this makes sense. You're going to get way more young players, way more draft capital. And if you are already going to give yourself Jaylen Green, and we already talked about this, Jaylen Green is a player who needs to be put in a position of a team that will give him patience, give him room to grow, time. If you're Devin Booker, you don't have that anymore in your career. You need to be competing today, not for whenever Jaylen Green figures it out, if he figures it out. You're not in that situation anymore, brother. You do not have to waste any more of your career on players that need time to figure it out. You need to be put in a situation with players who've already figured it out, already gone through their trials, and understand what it takes to take it to the next step. That's where you need to be. Jaylen Green and Bradley Beal, let them go crazy in Phoenix. Let Bradley Beal be his vet. Let Bradley Beal be his vet. Since Bradley Beal doesn't want to get traded, since he's not waiving that no trade clause, let him stay there. Let him be his vet. Let them figure that out on their own. You don't have to participate in it anymore. I see a lot of really great teams out there. Detroit makes a lot of sense. Young players, draft capital, and a team that would love to have someone like Devin Booker on their team. And this is another reason why, if you're everyone else in the league, why you weren't bending over backwards, breaking your neck, opening up the piggy bank for Kevin Durant, because I'm doing that for Devin Booker. That's who I'm doing that for. But if you're Phoenix, this is a terrible day, because regardless if it happens now or later, the rebuild is inevitable, because getting what you just got in return for Kevin Durant is not enough. And right now, you're on a time crunch for whenever Devin Booker figures that out, because as soon as he figures that out, that's when he's going to demand a trade. And so when he demands a trade, and in my opinion, this is what I would do. I would be looking to trade Devin Booker anyway, because if he publicly demands a trade, then I start to lose leverage. You've already been fucked once. No need to be screwed twice. So before you lose any more leverage, go ahead and make the trade. Make it. There's no rhyme or reason to do it. But all in all, though, Houston won the trade very clearly. I give them an A+. They got the player that they needed as a shot creator, consistent go-to guy, half-court offense, 7-footer, so they can also, pair somebody alongside Şengün, who is of height. Because that was another problem with Şengün, is that, he's on the smaller side playing the 5. Who could you place alongside him that has that height? Kevin Durant answers that call pretty easily, and they were able to get KD, just giving up Jaylen Green, Dillon Brooks, 2 players that were not a part of their picture long-term, and draft capital that they really didn't have to utilize to themselves, because they still have the rest of those Phoenix Suns picks. I love it. I think it's a really, 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 really great trade for Houston. I love it.